Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Science of Superpowers. So glad you could join us again. We are going to have an amazing episode today, and this is all part of our celebration of the men of co-creation. That's right, the Superpower Network celebrates the men of co-creation, men who've dedicated their existence to the pursuit of something beyond themselves in areas like science, business, medicine, personal development, religion, family, relationship, and many others. These men have stepped up and said yes to co-creating a world that aims to inspire all of us. Thank you for modeling character and honorable pursuits. We love you, love each other. And today's guest is an absolutely exemplary example of such a man. And I'm very excited to introduce him to you here. So we're going to activate our superpowers right here, because here pretty soon we are going to be talking all about uplifting humanity. So here we go. Ready? You know the practice. I am Tonya Dawn Recla, and I have superpowers. Your turn.
I am Jensen, and I've got superpower.
Yes, brilliant. Very fun. All right, folks. So we are going to jump into this conversation, and Les Jensen for sure has superpowers. He is the founder of New Human Living, right? Inspiring all of us into that. And actually, Les, I have it right here. Look it.
Woohoo!
Yes, yes, yes. So we were awarded as the humanitarian award for last year through Les's organization. Huge honor. It was so beautiful to receive that, and it really spoke to Les where your heart and your soul are, and I love that you're part of this men of co-creation. So what does it mean to you to be part of co-creation? What's that look like for you?
Well, it's perhaps daydreaming. What do we want? I mean, what do we really want? Because we really lucked out, because the normal of 2019's got tossed out the door, and we could make a new improved normal, and to idea that, to vision that, and then to run and embody that. And for me, some core aspects that I see missing perhaps in the masculine archetype of the collective is authenticity, a little happiness, a sense of adventure and courage to blaze new trails, because we're really laying down a new narrative, a new dynamic, if we choose to. And really, that's what the heart of humanity is really calling us to do.
I think so too. And we talked before. If you recognize that voice, folks, Les was on the show. He's a very favorite here at the network, and he was on my show with transformational antenna theory. That's where we really connected in our past when it comes to the energetics of situations. And I love that you work that into this element of co-creation and the awareness that we're so much more when we're together than just simply what it appears, right? There are so many elements exchanging here. And it bears some attention to that, like you said, like things like happiness, right? Right, we're real big at Superpower Experts on this movement from this perspective of like, I am this way because these things happen, versus I'm choosing to be this way so these things can happen, right? And it shifts everything when we make that move. And so the desire to say, okay, how am I expressing into the world? And I think, Les, that's such a beautiful element of the co-creative process that you emulate, is the awareness of self in the equation, right? Who am I in this creative process? And unless you've really taken responsibility for that within yourself, what prompted you to kind of make that shift? I'm sure it was a series of gradual, or maybe it was a big, huge kind of one day event, but that shift into like, wait, I'm going to start looking at how am I being so as to create these things around me. Was there something that happened for you that sort of shifted that awareness, or was it a gradual growth? How did that come about?
Sure. Well, I tried to avoid it as long as I could. And
Don't
then
we all?
the cosmic 2x4 cracked me upside of the head. That was like 25 years ago. And I really dropped into a perpetual reflection of myself, to really look at and get to know the authentic idea of who I am, and when I look at the collective, when I look at the masculine, we've been suffering from perhaps testosterone overdose or ego overdose. And the masculine, the patriarchal model, which has been in place across thousands of years, really doesn't serve our hearts. And if the element of love isn't really front and center, I don't think we can sustain whatever we dream up. But if it doesn't have that love element, I don't think it'll be sustainable long term. And so I really look at the mechanics of love within the individual persona and how that relates to a collective narrative.
Beautiful, beautiful. And as we talked before, from your history working with electricity and in those spaces, right? We can start to see how it's a challenging conversation for the more traditionally held sort of normative, right? The norm of the traditional industry and stuff like that. Like love just was never really a conversation there. In fact, it was sort of extricated out of it. So we're going to talk a little bit when we come back from the break of like, how do you work this into conversations when profits are on the line, or national security, right? Or all of these components that don't seem to mesh well with this concept of love. And yet I think that Les, if we're all honest, we know that things don't really go well unless that component is present.
Right.
So what are we doing, right? Why are we doing this? So before we dive into that, let's take a quick break. Les, where can we send people to find out more about you?
At newhumanliving.com, and to learn more about me, lesjensen.com.
Brilliant. And so thanks for listening again to the Science of Superpowers. Stay tuned because Les Jensen and Tonya Dawn Recla uplift humanity here on the Science of Superpowers, and we're going to help you understand how you can do that in your space. So make sure you're getting over to superpowerexperts.com if you want to know what it feels like to have that energetic confidence, to hold that space so you can move through the world and uplift humanity in your spaces. We want you to feel free and confident in doing that. So stay tuned, folks. We're going to be right back after this break. You're not going to want to miss this.